Hi, Taylor. How are you today?
Hi, Karen. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Thank you. I'm well. My name is Karen. Trifalasa is maiden name. Kitiona is my married name.
Wait, how do you say that first one?
Oh, my maiden name?
Yeah,
Trifalasa. I know it's a long,
not even going to attempt it.
right? Married for 28 years. In fact, last Friday was my anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
I know, right? 5 kids, 3 boys, 2 girls, 6 grandkids. You imagine my gray hair?
No, I could never.
But yeah, so I ended up here in Utah. We've been here a little over 11 years. We moved. We were not planning to move. We're originally from Samoa. It's an island. It's the only U.S. possession in the South Pacific. So it's a territory of the United States. When we left, it was like a population of 75,000 people. So, but it was home for us for 33, almost 35 years. But originally, I was born in the independent state of Samoa, known as Western Samoa sometimes. But I was raised in the territory all my life. So my family migrated over when I was 8 years old. And so that was the only home I've ever known, was American Samoa. So yeah, went to elementary, high school, college there, had a family, started a family and stuff. But we always used to go back to home, which is really nice. I'm the oldest of 5. I have 1 sister and 4 brothers. My parents are also from Western Samoa, and they're both Polynesians. They're both Samoans. I have part Tongan on my mom's side, but you can see it through all of us. But yeah, so we moved here 2014. And so I didn't do anything for like 8 years. I just stayed home, took care of my parents, helped my sister with her business, and just, ran after the kids. At the time, my 3 youngest ones were still in junior high and high school. The other 2 were old enough they had their families and they were working and stuff. And so a little bit about my career, my background has always been safety, right? In fact, what I used to be the safety officer for the only utility company back home. And when you say utility company back home, it housed everything: water, wastewater, power, and solid waste, right? And there were like 4 separate islands. So we would go on the ferry to go do training on the other outer islands, right? It was fun. Of course, I was a lot younger then and more energetic. So yeah, did a lot of training, met a lot of new people. And this was my route. I would come from Samoa to Hawaii, red-eye flight to Salt Lake, go out to Elko, fight fires. Well, let me back up. To Salt Lake, attend Utah Safety Council trainings for a week, fly out to Elko, fight fires, go to Texas A&M, all on one airfare ticket, right? That's how we do it. Yeah, I know. Then go back home, all while starting a family, having kids. I remember I just had who's 23 years old now. She was just 2 weeks old when I left home for 2 weeks to come out here and fight fires. So yeah, certified industrial firefighter. I was the only woman back home too to be the firefighter. But yeah, so my background is in safety, worked a lot with the oil company and stuff. And because of the limited resources back home in the territory, everything was from here. Like our source of fuel came from Singapore and stuff. And so I got into that realm of safety professional people, environmental. So I worked a lot with people from EPA, Public Works, So the utility company was a semi-autonomous, meaning it was partly run by a board of director, at the same time, partly government. So there were some programs and some agencies that were subsidized by, legislative and the government, and some were just like our customer base, right? So, and our only source of water too was underground. So we had a lot of, pumping and booster stations, you name it, everything. And then on the wastewater side, I got to learn more and a lot about, the EPA and our environment part of, we cleaned up, one big project we did was cleaning up the PCP oil. And so you got to separate that, filter it, centrifuge, all of the above. to the lab and stuff. Of course, that's when I was a lot younger, right? So I did that for 17 years before I came out here. And then when I came out here, I didn't do anything. I just stayed home and took care of my parents, whom I still have, and just kind of took care of my kids at the time. So then one day, I remember I've always had Utah Safety Council in the back of my head, right? One day I brought my dad to his appointment, and the nurse was like, "Do you want to wait or do you want to go and come back? Because it's going to be like a 3-hour wait." I'm like, So I came to Utah Safety Council office and I was like, "Hi guys, are you hiring? Do you have any vacancies?" And to my surprise, I remember, I think it was Nicole and Yvette. They were like, "Yeah, we're looking for instructors for emergency care." And that's how my journey started with Utah Safety Council. And I'm so glad I don't know what led me that particular day to the office, but yeah, at the old office. So yeah, they hired me on and I did some time for Yvette for 1.5 years and loved going out to the site. One of my most frequent client was Dominion at the time before they became, what is it now, Enbridge or something, and Savage. And yeah, so when I see those names now, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember those guys. It's amazing how when people see you, they're like, "Hey, we remember you from the first, are you still teaching? Like, remember how you shared your real life stories and whatnot and stuff." So that's a little bit about myself. What about you?
What about me? Well, my name is Taylor. I have lived everywhere, just about, but born in Ohio. My father was actually a lieutenant commander inside the Navy.
Wow.
And so that necessitated us having to move a lot. So we moved everywhere from Mississippi to California, Maryland, Virginia, Utah.
Wow.
And then outside of that, I've also lived in Idaho and I've lived in Florida and I've lived in many locations throughout Utah.
Wow.
So I've definitely moved around a lot, have experienced a lot of things just in my short time, but I have lived in Utah the longest.
Okay.
I've been here in Utah since I was about 12-ish years old and I'm about 31 now. So I definitely have been here the longest. Additionally, I am an only child, similar to Joy, where I didn't have any siblings growing up, so I didn't have to share anything, which was great. But that had its own unique challenges. Growing up as an only child can be a little bit lonely at times, especially since we moved so much. I was homeschooled for a little bit, but I finished my high school education here in Utah. I went to, I served a 2-year LDS mission in Florida. That's why I lived in Florida. And then when I returned from my mission, I went to BYU, Idaho for a little bit, studying human biology. From there, I transferred actually to Utah Valley University, where I finished my degree in biology. And I've had a whole slew of jobs since then. The ones that I can remember most fondly are my first job being a certified nursing assistant.
Nice.
So helping all the residents and people who needed it was a fantastic for me to kind of see how that all worked. I've always had an affinity and a love for wanting to do something inside health and safety eventually, as I've kind of branched out a little bit more in my career. But healthcare and health and making sure people are healthy and happy have been something that's always been on my mind. From being a CNA, I worked at a home health and hospice company where I did a lot of their administrative assistant work. I was a direct support professional for a company that helped individuals with disabilities living in the community. I've been an HR specialist, helping autistic kids, getting the people that would help these autistic kids with giving them and helping them grow life skills and other things. Fantastic opportunity. And then I was a talent acquisition manager for a large behavioral health company here in Utah. Unfortunately, the company was experiencing layoffs, and the first people they decide to lay off is often the recruiters. So I was unfortunately laid off of that position, but then I found a position here at the Utah Safety Council, where I started originally in the occupational program and have since migrated a lot of my responsibilities more toward the mining and refinery side of stuff. And that's kind of what I lead and head up now, is the mining and refinery program here. And it's been a fantastic experience, quite honestly. you have a lot of opportunity to meet people who have questions about health, about safety, about what is this, what is that, are we compliant, how do I keep my people, from getting hurt? And we can provide those answers. I'm pursuing a degree in public health administration and policy. I only have my master's project to complete, and I'm completely done. But that has been a goal of mine that I'm really happy to be almost done with. Additionally, here at the Safety Council, we've had our ups and downs for sure, but at the end of the day, it is about helping keep people safe, and that's what the goal is. So happy to be here, and I know we have some questions for each other.
Okay, you have a question for me? Okay.
I do, yes. So when you wake up in the morning, Karen, what is the thing that you hope to accomplish in the day, any day?
Wow, that's a nice... Well, I would say each day I aim to or strive to become better each day, better than yesterday, right? And how that looks for me is what benefits both for here at work, the council, and the people we serve, right? What are the benefits? How can I contribute to that? And what that looks like for me is staying focused, staying organized, making sure that both clients and instructors have what they need to have a successful day, right? Because every day there's something going on, training, meetings, this podcast, seminars, we're constantly learning. And so for me, when I wake up in the morning, it's not just, for here at work. Like for me, in my personal life, I make sure my parents are taken care of early in the morning before I leave the house, right? Say a prayer, driving here, and then when I get here. And I remember when I sat through an evaluation with John and Joy, they asked me, what is one thing that drives you, right? And it's kind of similar to what you're asking me. And my drive is when I'm on my way here, I like to always use this model, and I've used it in my previous jobs too. Like as soon as I enter that door, my last name is Utah Safety Council. It's not Kitiona. And the reason I say that is because when I'm here, I'm asking myself the question, what is in the best interest of the council today? And how can I live up to that? And that could mean anything. It could mean how am I going to be this middleman between the council and the people we serve, right? The people who come through the door, ring our phones, send us emails, all types of things. Even the relationship you and I share. How am I gonna, serve Taylor? Because I feel like it starts within us, our little haven here, and then outward we go, right? And I feel like that radiates the service we provide, comes from within. And that's just how I aim my day to be. And then on my way home, as soon as I must not forget to pick up my last name on my way out the door. Because then, okay, Utah City Council, I'm done today, right? Get in my car on my way home. And then in my mind, I'm asking myself the same question, except I'm asking it a different way. Did I live up to the expectation or to the best interest? Were my actions, were my words, were my deeds? Because my grandmother on my mom's side taught us at a very young age. And I will always remember this. She said one thing that stuck. And she said, if one day goes by without you having done or performed or a good deed, that is such a wasted day. And so that has stuck for me all my life. And so I carry it with me wherever I go. I hope that answers your question.
Wow, no, absolutely.
It's my turn, right?
Okay, yeah.
Do I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So what part of your day during your job while you're here at the council that people often don't know about or misunderstand or overlook, what part of what you do here at the council that that you think people often overlook?
Sure. That's a really good question. One thing that I think sometimes might get misunderstood is just in order for us to provide a world-class concierge service to our clients that we have. It requires us to spend a lot of time with our clients, making sure that we are answering their questions, making sure that we are getting back to them on time. And one of the things that I was actually noting was how many MSHA classes we have. MSHA is a requirement for a lot of folks, but just because something is a requirement doesn't mean that someone can't just go find it somewhere else. So having a good personality really helps with that. I actually ran some numbers, and I was really curious. Out of the 260 working-ish days that we have, roughly, in a year, 195 of them have an MSHA class this year.
Wow.
That's 75% of working days have an MSHA class, which is the most compared to any other program that we have here at the Safety Council. So that's a ton of people that come through our classes, that they all have questions, they all want something from us, and we need to be able to be there to provide that concierge service. And so I just hope that that if there's any questions as to why so much time is being spent on this, it's because we own and operate a very good MSHA program.
That's awesome.
And that's something that I hope that people can understand is that a lot of time has to be spent on growing that program.
Nice. I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.